There's the bike she wishes she had.
Perfect height. Right.
Walk slow, it's okay, just chill.
Sorry. Just got too excited about talking about return to run. Continuing the theme of returning to run safely, trying to come back from sort of longer term injuries or recurring injuries. Yeah, my sort of preamble to this is going to be, if you have had quite a kind of acute injury that's come on quite quick and probably gone away quite quickly, my tips are maybe not quite as relevant because they're quite a different kind of injury. And I'd also say, even if you've had kind of similar to me, like injuries that keep coming back or that have dragged on a while, also this may not be necessarily that relevant. You know, everyone's bodies are different. Usual kind of preamble of probably consult your physio, someone that actually knows what they're talking about. But still, I feel like being in quite a good place now. I wanted to share some more thoughts on the kind of how to progress that return to running. So when you've actually got to the point of you think you're ready to start running, and obviously you can refer back to my first top tips video where my basic message was take longer than you think. But when you're back at that point of starting running, again, I think when you've had quite a long time of either the injury carrying on or you like start again and then it comes back again and it basically like drags on and keeps coming back, I think it's really important to take actually quite a long time trying to build back, just to kind of build that resilience, make sure you're not pushing stuff too much. So yeah, I think the real key things to try and do is either build volume or intensity. And I'd say probably for the majority of injuries, building volume is the safer way to go initially. And you probably want quite a long time of building the volume really gradually before you get to a point of building intensity. I'd say the couple of things that maybe change that are some specific calf stuff. Actually, there are some trains of thought that say you're better off running a bit faster because of the load. So actually I had a period last year when I was rehabbing my soleus where actually the sort of train of thought was better to do some like slightly faster running, still not like super fast, but like faster than what I would normally run my easy runs at. But generally speaking, I'd say safer option is go volume first and build that very gradually. Like I'd say not more than like 10% a week. And then when you've got to a point of you've built a fair bit of volume, then you can start adding a bit of intensity. But then when you're starting to add intensity, you need to also then not be also adding volume. So basically go for one or the other initially until you've got to that point of you've got a good base. So like I'm now at a point where I'm averaging like 45 to 50k a week, and I have been probably for the last 3 to 4 weeks. So I'm now at a point where I could maybe add that like 10-15 minutes more of volume, as well as adding another 200s, etc. So I'd still say like keep it conservative and small and don't get overexcited, but basically volume or intensity would be the key things. And then I'll talk a little bit through actually my build week to week and how I kind of structured it basically over the last sort of 4 months, because then you'll get a bit of a better idea from my perspective of the kind of how long it took to get up to what felt like a decent amount of running, and also like how kind of cautious I was about then trying to add in some intensity and the longer runs. As discussed. So It's a little bit corporate. As I said, as per previous email. No, as I was talking about the kind of slow build and progression and the balance of volume and intensity, I thought I'd run by pretty much week by week for my last 16 weeks. So it's been a 4-month process building back up to this point of kind of what that's looked like. And yeah, to basically give that idea of like how the progression has been and at what point we've progressed from volume to intensity and how we've balanced that. And also how we've balanced around some bits of life, because obviously life happens. So before I started the general program, we'd obviously done a fair bit of gym stuff. I'd had my bit of break, and I'd done some sort of tests in the gym of, am I super happy that the calf is good? I mean, at that point I hadn't run probably for over a month, so it had like good rest. I'd had the injection in my back, and we'd done a whole load of physio around the core and everything else to kind of make sure I was in good shape to start running. Yeah, I think obviously step one is make sure that you're ready for that actual running, and I did a sort of 20-minute test of doing 2-minute jogging, 1-minute walk. So then the progression from that, when we were happy with that, that first week was basically 3 lots of pretty much 20 minutes jogs. So the first one was doing 20 minutes of 3-minute jog, 1-minute walk. The next one was doing 20 minutes as 4-minute jog, 1-minute walk. And the final one was doing 5-minute jog, 1-minute walk. So that total for that first week was like an hour and ended up being about 4 minutes because of some of the walking in between. But pretty broken up with lots of opportunity to stop if I was worried at all or felt anything. And I did most of that on the treadmill so that I was like in one place. It was flat surface and like very controlled. Then the next week we progressed that a little bit because that all had kind of gone well. So then I had a couple of runs ended up being 26 minutes because of the walking. So I did that as 6 minutes jog, 1-minute walk, then 7 minutes jog, 1-minute walk. And then because that had all gone well, I then tried 3 lots of 10-minute jog, 1-minute walk. So that ended up being just over 30 minutes. So then that week ended up being an hour and 25. Then the next week we decided to just go for, let's try and do some continuous running. So I just did 3 lots of 30 minutes continuous running. So a total of an hour and a half. So because we went from breaking it up with like the walking in between to continuous running, I didn't progress that much volume-wise. That's only like a 5-minute difference because we wanted to, again, keep it controlled and safe. Then the next week, I actually did a little bit less because I flew back from Dubai. So again, because some of my issues have maybe been exacerbated with travel, I wanted to be super safe around that. So I gave I think it was 3 days post-travel before running and making sure I'd done quite a lot of mobility and stuff around that. So I just did 2 by 30 minutes that week. So that was an hour. The week after that, because there hadn't been any issues, all still feeling good. So we then started progressing the volume a little bit. So we did 33 minutes, 34 minutes, and 40 minutes. So a total of an hour and 47. The next week, this is now week 6. I actually had a long weekend in Norway where I thought I was going to be able to run quite easily, but actually all the roads were absolute carnage and covered in snow, so I couldn't. So that ended up just being 2 runs. So that was a 41-minute and 40 minutes, so an hour and 21. Then the week after, again, slowly progressing the volume a bit. So I had a 40-minute run, a 50-minute run, and a 45-minute run. So up to 2 hours 10. Which obviously feels like a jump compared to the week before because I missed a run, but actually it's not that much of a jump compared to the week previous to that. Then the next week, so this is coming up to it then being like a 2-month progression of coming back. I got up to 52 minutes, 56 minutes, and this is when we introduced the first double run. So this was trying to build the base for us to start adding a bit more volume, but in a bit of a safer way. So always making sure We basically decided that as long as I always had at least one day off in between running, that was safer for me than trying to add like an extra day of running. Obviously, people have different theories on that, but so far seems to be working well. So that end of the 2-month build was 2 hours and 50. So yeah, a bit of a jump, I guess, from the week before, but everything felt good. And because we broke it up with the double run, it felt quite safe. So the next week, week 9, that was actually Christmas week. So there was like a degree of flexibility around what I was doing, but we were trying to keep same kind of volume. So I did like 53 minutes, an hour and 30, but that was all quite broken up because that was actually when I went and did Kentmere Horseshoe. So there was quite a lot of walking and scrambling and not really running. And then 40 minutes, so a total of 3 hours. And because I'd done the longer run, obviously like I wasn't continuous running, but because there was like longer time on my feet, I didn't do the double run that week. So the next week had like an hour running, an hour 10, because at this point we were also trying to start building my like long run, and then my double run of 40 minutes and 38 minutes. So that was a total of 3 hours and 33. The week after that, we then had pretty similar, so like an hour 10, and then the double run of 50 minutes and 30 minutes. So again, about 3 hours 30. So this is now basically 3 months of slowly building back. We decided to start introducing a little bit of pace. And this was then the 200s that we were doing. So we started with 6 by 200, and these weren't like fast. These were just trying to do sort of somewhere between Ironman 70.3 pace, but concentrating more on it feeling good. So I wasn't actually really looking at my watch. I was doing it on the track to keep it super controlled, but yeah, the main focus of that was kind of have some faster running in my legs, but nothing too risky. So the run with the 200s, that was 55 minutes. Then I built my longer run a little bit to an hour and 14, and then had the double run at the weekend of 40 minutes and 40 minutes. So total of 3 hours 32. So at this point, I've done 3 weeks in a row of basically 3.5 hours because I've introduced a couple of different variables. So I've kept overall volume the same. The week after that, the 200s progressed from 6 to 8, and that was 59 minutes, progressed my long run a little bit to an hour and 20, and the double run of 40 minutes and 44 minutes. So that was a little bit more volume that week, 3 hours 44. Then the next week, similar with the 200s, that was then up to 10, and that was like 56 minutes, progressing the long run again to an hour and 24, and the double run of 47 minutes and 40 minutes. So that was 3 hours 48. And then the week after that, that was actually the first week out here in Spain. That was when we were also introducing a little bit of Ironman pace on the second double run. So I had the first run with the 200s, that was an hour, had my long run of an hour and a half, and then my double run of 55 minutes of the one with a little bit of Ironman pace in, and then 33 minutes of the other one. So a total of 3 hours 58. And then last week, so at this point, this is like the last of coming up to 4 months. So as you can see, it's been pretty long, steady build. I had the 200s, so we're up to 12 200s. I think it's 12, maybe 14, I've lost count. So that was an hour and 5. And then I had the first, like, actually feels like a proper long run of like an hour and 39. And then the double run with Ironman pace again of like 34 minutes and then 45 minutes. So a total of 4 hours and 5 minutes. So yeah, feels like it's obviously been a long, slow progression, but hopefully that's given like a nice solid base, and hopefully talking through like the specifics of how I've built it and some of the considerations we've taken into account of when to not progress it or even like dial it back. Hopefully that's helpful.